Okay, so as the title of this video suggests, and so does that screen, semester 2 is over. Incredibly thankful for that. I'm actually recording this a few days after the semester ended. I just wanted to take a little time to myself and kind of, enjoy it, take it in, be happy that it's over, and while still looking forward to the future type of deal. Ooh, my hair is a little bit crazy. Need a haircut. Anyway, so looking back, my last video looks like it was on December 2nd. I think it was December 2nd. So either way, it's been about a week or so. So what has changed? Did I do that right? Hang on one second. Okay, I did. Anyway, so I finished off finals. By the time I was uploading that video, it looks like I had 3 finals yet to go, and proud to say that I finished them all. I'm very happy about that. I'm also very proud of all of my classmates, like our class as a whole. We managed to get through the semester with 0 people needing remediations, which is a huge achievement in my book. I'm very proud and very happy for us. Obviously, none of us want to remediate a single time. So the fact that we got through this semester with nobody having to do it at all, I think that speaks pretty well. Before anybody asks, I don't know how many people needed to do it first semester. I don't know the number off the top of my head. I don't think I was ever told. So just, I don't know the answer if you're planning on asking that. But yeah, pretty exciting stuff. Overall, how'd my GPA hold up? Stayed about where it was at first semester. My best graded class was going to be SLS, but I feel like that one goes without saying. My best academic class, I did really good in Airway or APP. Those 2 I did really good in. Class I did the worst in is going to be pharmacology, but I've talked to you guys about my struggles in that to begin with. Yeah. Not so bad. I'm pretty happy. Kept my GPA about where it was at last semester, and ideally I can just keep it there for the next, about 2 years or so. Yeah, just kind of have to see how that goes, I guess. January, we start our clinicals. Looking forward to that. It'll probably be mid to late January where I'm starting those. So that'll be really cool. I'm looking forward to giving you guys information on what's going on. Again, one other factor I'm going to have to consider is HIPAA violations. HIPAA is a very big deal for very obvious reasons. So I'm going to make sure that everything I say is a heavily censored version of what happened. Or I'm going to get permission from whoever I was working under or from the patient. But for instance, the scenario I'm about to give is completely made up. I just want to make that clear. So let's say we're doing a lap appy on John Smith, who's 57 years old. And he had a complication, and it was noteworthy, so we had to go through and do special stuff. So I'm obviously not going to say oh yeah, it was John Smith, he's 57, he lived in Jacksonville, and he had this done and all of that kind of stuff. I'm obviously not going to say that. What I would probably say is we had an individual who needed this surgery, and as long as it's not a super specific surgery, so if it's a surgery where it's oh, this is the first ever patient who's ever getting this surgery, well, that can identify the patient. So I would just make sure that's something generic and say this individual is presenting for a lap appy. During the course of the procedure, they had this complication. It was treated in this manner. I think it's cool because of this, the physiology implications of that, and we were able to do this for them. So just be aware that you are not going to be getting any specific details out of me about that. It is not because I don't want to share the information. I would obviously love it if I could talk about it. However, we all have rights, and privacy does exist. I would not want somebody to spill the beans on my time in a hospital, so I completely understand that somebody else would not want that. So I'm just going to make that very clear. So if you hear me beating around the bush about what was happening, there's probably a reason for it, and I can't say specifics. So just want to go ahead and make that clear. So if you're wondering why that's going on, you have this little disclaimer to fall back on. Let's see. What else has been going on? Let's see. Finished finals, which was really good. A lot of people are heading home. There was some more interviews today, which I thought was really cool. I did not attend those. I had something else going on. I might be at the ones tomorrow, so if you see me, that would be December 11th. If you see me on that, then, that'd be really cool. If you're watching this video now, knowing that I'm looking forward to that. I don't know if I was selected to do it, but, I kind of hope I am. So, but I've already done 2 before, so it would not be surprising to me if the individual running this says, yeah, let's sub in some new people. Zero worries about that. So, let's see. A year ago today... Oh, that's funny. So I interviewed a year ago on the 14th. So it's pretty close to when I actually interviewed, which is crazy. That's pretty cool. So we'll see. Someone might fill my exact slot, which is pretty cool. So I figure I could make this a quick video. So if you wanted updates, that's really all of the updates I have that I can think of. Other than that, I'll just kind of offer encouragement to anyone thinking about joining the program. The interviews, so one thing I kind of want to make clear, and I might have made it, I'm going to move the microphone closer to me this time. One thing I might have said previously, I can't remember for sure. A little out of focus. Oh, it's cloudy outside. Is, at least for us, we as students have no say over whether or not you get in. And I, as the SGA president, that doesn't give me any special rights. So me versus one of my classmates, we're on equal footing. None of us have any say in who gets in. So don't be afraid to talk to us. Again, don't be afraid to ask hard-hitting questions. Don't be afraid to ask what you need to know. If work-life balance, school-life balance is a big deal for you, then go ahead and ask us about it. If you're wondering how much do we study in a night, ask us about it. There's no harm in asking those questions. I did not ask enough questions, and I really wish I did. So I just want you to keep that in mind. If you're looking to apply to this program, applications are getting competitive. Again, that's just kind of the product of a relatively small class acceptance rate annually, and it couples with the fact that it's not as mainstream as something like CRNA is probably the best way I can word that. I can't remember the number of schools. We'll just call it about 20, and if each one has a class size of about 20 as well, you're looking at about 400 some odd students, if I did that mental math right. So 400 slots for the entire USA, and then you have to imagine that at least a few thousand want to apply to that. So you are going to have to beat out some people. But again, put your best foot forward and see what you can do. There's no shame in calling the programs and saying, hey, look, I got declined. What do you think I can do better? What steps you think, what are my weak areas? What would you like to see from me going forward? And I'd say that honestly would go well in your favor because you're showing I have this desire to improve, I want to do better, and I really like your program, and I respect your program enough that I'm asking you for your advice. So that's just something to consider. Over here might be in the light better. So don't be afraid of that. Don't be afraid... Ooh, I about dropped my microphone right there. Don't be afraid of thinking, that's bad wording. Don't think, oh, I'm too young to get in the program, I don't have enough experience to get in the program. I mean, I thought I didn't have enough qualifications to get in, and I was very lucky that I did. At least I feel that way. Don't beat yourself up over small little things. If you don't get accepted right away, there is no shame in that. I think I've talked about that before. Zero shame in reapplying. The only time that you should feel bad about reapplying or feel hesitant about reapplying is if you apply with the exact same resume. Because what are they going to do? They're going to say you had a full year. Why didn't you improve this? Why didn't you improve that? Why didn't you go do this? So just keep that in mind. There's no shame in reapplying. I genuinely thought I was going to have to reapply because my first two were declined and then waitlist. So again, don't feel bad about it. Don't discount yourself for like, oh, I'm too old to get in. Don't worry about that. We don't really. I mean, it's gonna sound so cliche, but age isn't really a factor. Age isn't a number for us. Age is just a number for us. So don't feel bad about that. We have people of all ages. Don't feel bad if you took a gap year. Don't feel bad if you took a semester off. Don't feel bad if you're going straight from undergrad into this. Now, you might be kind of tired, but don't feel bad about it. Just present the best version of yourself that you can. If you apply and get declined, you only lose the application fee. It's not like a year from now they're going to say, oh, we declined them in 2024. Let's just go ahead and decline them now in 2025. That is not how it works. If anything, they look at it as, okay, they were declined, they improved, they've put in the work, let's hear them out. So just keep doing what you can do. Just don't get discouraged. I got really discouraged and it was hard. But I feel like all of my classmates would say something similar. I don't know if any of my classmates only applied here. I'd imagine there's probably at least one, statistically speaking, but it's okay. And pick the program that's right for you. I understand if you have the mindset of, if I get in anywhere, I'm going anywhere. And that's perfectly fine. Everyone has their own type of standard. For me, there were some campuses I was like, I don't want to live there for 2.5 years or however long the academic portion is. I just don't want to live there. I don't see a future there, so I just didn't even apply there. So just don't feel bad about it. Don't beat yourself up, because it's hard, and this program will test you. It tests you, again, it's going to sound cliche, but it's kind of like it tests you every step of the way. The application process through the CAA or whatever it is, that can get a little complicated. Getting all of your vaccine records can get complicated. Getting the physical can get complicated. Getting all the forms filled out is complicated. Meeting all the requirements can be complicated. The shadowing forms can be a little confusing. And it's, they're not purposeful hurdles, but they are hurdles that do exist in the process. Those can get annoying. And then you got to figure out, when are you interviewing? You have to go through all of that. You'd probably have to get a hotel to stay at for your interview. You got to figure out all of that, the travel. So every single step in this process, there are hurdles. But to an extent, you kind of just have to embrace that, in all honesty. And it's tough initially. But the program it's very good. Again, I can only speak for what I've experienced here. NSU Jacksonville is very good about, you're going to face adversity. We're going, not necessarily purposefully, but you are going to face adversity while you're here. But it's the type of adversity that can be overcome. They're not going to put you in front of a 20-foot concrete wall and tell you to climb. They put handles out there for you to climb up, but they are a little bit far apart sometimes, because otherwise you don't get stronger until your muscles get sore. So you're not going to get stronger at your profession unless you put in the work and try. And I'd say that's been the one thing I've had to embrace the most about this program. You are going to have to put in the time, you are going to have to put in the work, but at the end of the day, you are going to be better off because of it. If you told me, if I could go back in time and talk to myself 2 years ago, and I said, all right, between May and December, this is how much you're going to learn and remember and be able to apply, I would not have believed it. It might have scared me, but I just wouldn't have believed it. It's kind of crazy how much ground we've covered. I started the program having had 8 months of anesthesia tech experience. So I knew some things like machine checks and what different gases did and, more maintenance oriented things. Nothing physiology related. At least the techs didn't do that where I am. But then to go from that point to where I am now, which is if you give me a very, 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 very simple, lap appy, lap chole, if there's no complications, I can get the patient through okay. That's a really big jump if you think about it. Going from, oh, that's the anesthesia machine, and then there's the bag, and then to, I know what this drug does. I know how to dose it. I know when to not give it. I know when to give it. I know what it's good at, what it's bad at. I know that for about 20 plus different drugs at this point. I mean, it's a lot more than 20, but you see what I'm saying. I know what flows to set them at. I know what ratio of oxygen to set them at. I know what percentage they should be, what saturation, blood pressure, all of their vital signs should be at. I know what machine pressure should be at. I know what waveform I want to see. I know what vent setting I need to do. I know when I need to give these drugs, how to give these drugs, over what time period to give these drugs. I know when I should start cutting back on gas. I know when to turn up my oxygen, when to turn down my oxygen. I know when to, detect a bronchospasm, laryngospasm. I mean, the amount of ground that we've covered is incredible. Because I went from not knowing any of that. I had the base level. And here we are now. It's mind-boggling. And it's kind of hard to conceptualize it to some extent. It's very interesting to look at it all and kind of see how far I've come. And I hope one day that you'll be able to have that exact same experience that I had. Being able to sit there, look back at what you've done, and be appreciative for the ground that you've covered. So, it is something. So, all of that to say, don't get discouraged. If you get an interview and don't get in, it's okay. Again, reapply. If this is truly what you want to do, reapply. Ask what your weak points were. See if there's anything you can do better. Ask for pointers from current students, past students, anybody. Do mock interviews. But show improvement, and you'll be okay. I did not think I was going to get in first round. First round as in I applied in 2023. I didn't expect to get in to become, in that next class. I thought I was going to have to take an unwilling gap year. I genuinely thought that. I was planning, okay, what am I going to do for the year? How's that going to work, And I was distraught. But, I would have been okay. Because we have to be okay. We'll figure something out. So, figure out how to improve. If you have a marginal MCAT score or GRE score, or you got just enough shadowing hours, pump those numbers up, do what you can, and then just reapply. So, take that for whatever it's worth, and I wish you nothing but the best. I hope that you have a long and successful career. As always, feel free to reach out to me in the YouTube comments. Ooh, my eye is twitching. Can you see it? Feel free to reach out to me in the YouTube comments. I have my Instagram. It is just at my CAA Journey. No capitals, no spaces. Feel free to shoot me a DM. As long as I know that you messaged, I'm usually pretty quick about it. And if I don't see your message within a couple of days, go ahead and shoot me another one. And I'll make sure I get back to you. Again, I will answer just about any single question that you can think of. Only questions I'm not answering are anything that is overtly personal that I want to keep separate. Overtly personal from somebody else, as in information about one of my classmates. I will not answer those types of questions. And then nothing that will make me or the program look bad. because, you know, we're a representative of the program. Now, if there is something that happened and, you know, something bad is going on, then I will share that information. But if it's just like, you know, have you ever fought with a professor? It's like, that's not professional. Professional disagreements do happen. It's just kind of how that goes. But I'm not going to be like, oh, yeah, you're not going to believe this. Professor X is so bad. Like, I would never do that. So, other than that, I hope you learned something from this video, and I'll go ahead and end it here. Wish you nothing but the best. Good luck, and I will see you in the next video. Take care.